Hi there, Maram. It's Bev, ex-Ielts examiner. Okay, let me give you feedback on these two tasks. Okay, so your task 2, traditional schooling. Okay. First thing again, word count is 234. It needs to be a minimum of 250. If it is below that, you will be penalized and you will lose a significant number of marks. So it is worth taking the time to count your words. Okay. So let's go through paragraph by paragraph. The issue of learning systems, okay, if you are referring in general, needs to be plural, has grown in importance since the introduction of the technological revolution. And I wouldn't call it a technological revolution. I would say since the increased evolution of technology. Okay. Modern educational techniques, okay, always plural for general, has been the recent line of thought. Not the correct way to use that, I would say has been an area of focus these days, full stop. Okay, new sentence. It must not be forgotten that our traditional teaching system can hardly be replaced by artificial machines. Okay, artificial machines means that they're not real, so you need to, that's not the best adjective there. Think of a different way to describe what you're trying to say. This essay will illustrate whilst adapting to advanced techniques in education can be beneficial, in addition, spelling, to conventional teaching methods. Okay, Maram, be very careful with your sentences. You need to keep, to break up the sentences. One thought, one sentence. Okay? There is ample evidence to suggest the tremendous benefits that have been derived, okay, from embedding, go and check up the meaning on that, that's not the right thing, would be more likely accessing or making use of advanced technology in the educational system. Look up the difference in meaning between techniques and technology. It's different, okay? In order to promote creativity, in order to not promote creativity, but to allow for creativity in students, okay? Or among students. For instance, study of designing. Designing what, Maram? You need to be more specific. So when studying design of, okay, usually entails the intelligence, requires a lot of knowledge and complex behavior of software in order to produce creative projects. Okay, Maram, that sentence is very confusing to the reader. It doesn't make it clear what you're trying to say. You need to reword that, okay? These subjects can help learners to expand their imagination and draw out their talents, which are often not given an opportunity, which is not done so through traditional education medium. Okay, very confusing paragraph this, Maram, as to what point you're trying to make. Okay, so reword that, make it clearer what you're spelling. Not on the other side, but on the other hand, conventional learning methods, plural, has proven to be essential. Spelling essential is incorrect. Check your spelling in the learning process, especially in primary schools. Artificial teaching power. I think you want to say automated learning through automated computer technology. I'm not quite sure what you mean there. Would present difficulties in interpreting, check your spelling, the educational needs of students. Full stop. What is more, the expertise of a teacher that a teacher uses to explain, you can't adapt a concept to explain complex concepts to different individuals is less likely to be mimicked by a computer. That's good. Good phrase. No matter how sophisticated its software. Very good phrase. As a result, considering traditional learning as old-fashioned, ED, will most likely be flawed. Okay, that doesn't quite make sense. I think what you want to say is, if one is of the opinion that traditional learning is simply old-fashioned, this is being short-sighted. Okay. To conclude, despite the ability of the modern innovations to assist students in certain fields to be imaginative, what you're spelling for imaginative, and talented. Okay, talent is an inherent thing. You won't get it from a machine. Okay, but it might draw it out. Okay, it might elicit it. It might enhance it. Okay. The presence of conventional educational methods cannot be substituted by artificial machines. I think what you want to say is artificial intelligence. Not the right words. Re-look at your vocabulary and will always have positive implications. Okay, Maram, you need to look at your sentence structures, go look at your sentence guide, do some reading, copy, cover writing on some of the sample essays that you've received from Ben, and make sure that your opening paragraph and your concluding paragraph link. And of course, make sure that your word count is correct. Okay, good. Now, let's take a look at your task 1, the pie chart showing the current spending of 3 different councils in the UK. Right, first off, your word count needs to be a minimum of 150. Less than that, you will be penalized. Okay, it can make the difference of a whole band score, Maram. So be sure to achieve the minimum word count. Okay. Also, I've seen that through the essay, your spelling of some of the counties that the charts refer to is incorrect. You will definitely be penalized for this because the spelling is there and you simply need to copy it. Okay? When you when an examiner looks at the spelling in an essay, if you make a one word occasional misspelling, you won't lose a band score. Okay, it's the overall impact. But when you're copying the spelling, you will be penalized. Okay, so do be careful of that. It is clear that Yorkshire spends most of their budget on the education sector, followed by Lancashire and finally by Derbyshire. Okay, full stop, new sentence. Derbyshire pays most of the money, allocates the majority of its funds, okay, to leisure activities, around 35%. Okay, this does not need to be in brackets because this essay is all about facts and figures. Okay, so just comma at around 35%. The next second contender, okay, I wouldn't call it a contender. A contender takes part in a competition, and this is not a competition. Okay, so I wouldn't call them that. Okay, Yorkshire is pastime. What do you mean? Okay, they've called it leisure activities. You use the same phrases. You don't change it when it comes to the graphs. Okay, because you are describing the terminology on the graph. Okay. So you would say that Yorkshire, whereas Yorkshire only spends about 25% of its budget on leisure activities. Other activities almost have a similar proportion of spending. Okay, you need to say that in Yorkshire, and you need to mention those 3 activities that are equal. Okay, because that stands out. It's different to the other 2. All right. However, while community services make up about 20% of the council's budget, okay, because it's only the council of Yorkshire, and 5% more in Derbyshire, Lancashire spends, what you're spelling, almost a half of this, just a half of this, okay, comma, roughly 10%. Spending on the environmental sector represents a small portion for Yorkshire, Derbyshire and Lancashire at 10, 15% and 10% respectively. Okay, full stop. Social services, okay, it's plural, have insignificant value. It's not about value. You can say have a very small proportion of the budget allocated to them in the council fund, around 1 to 2%. Okay? Watch your spelling. Lancashire. However, Lancashire Capital and Yorkshire spend much more on social services in the region of 10 to 15% each, respectively. Overall, educational and leisure sectors make up the largest expenses, while environmental and social fields represent the lowest. Okay, Maram. You need to go and look at an example essay of this. You haven't included all the highlights. They ask you to compare and contrast usually. Okay, so you need to show the differences more clearly. Your sentences need to be shorter and clearer so that it's easier for the reader to follow. Watch your spelling, watch your word count. You would lose unnecessary marks for things that can be so easily rectified. If you handed in an essay like this, you would probably only get a 4, maybe a 5 if you were lucky, but because of the word count, you would lose a lot. So you really need to go and look at how to phrase these. Okay, but you've got the understanding of how to interpret the graphs, but just remember to include all that information. Okay, so that's a good effort on your part. Okay, thanks, Maram.